Sure, why not?
Oh, hey, Mike.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
This is my husband, Michael, and he's joining us for the broadcast.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clink.
Link.
What are you drinking, my love?
I would rather not say.
Is that champagne? Put it up in front of the webcam.
It's a contest.
It's a bubbly amber kind of liquid.
That's an interesting glass.
Yeah.
I'll leave it out there for your guests to guess what Mike is drinking.
I know what it is. It's not alcoholic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, now you've ruined it.
Okay. Well, it's not alcoholic, but it's in an alcoholic glass, so it counts.
It is.
It counts for Politics After Dark. Welcome to Politics After Dark, everybody. I am your host, Rachel Mills, and you already know Mike, and we've got Amy here, the lovely
Hi.
Amy, who is awesome and well-researched and is going to carry the show for those of us who did no show prep. Yay, Amy! And here's Sarah. Sarah Remini joins us again.
Hi.
Hi. Tell us what you're drinking, Sarah.
I'm drinking Red Volution. It's a red wine blend that comes in a box, but it's a very small, expensive box, so I feel very classy about
It's a card Bordeaux, in other words.
Yeah.
I like that.
My favorite kind. But hold up that glass again. There's a problem here. There's a problem with this.
Mine?
Show me that glass. Your glass, Sarah. You're drinking wine out of a tumbler.
It's a rocks glass, really. But yes, I'm hardcore.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
All of my wine glasses were in the dishwasher, so I got lazy.
Yes, she got all of them dirty this afternoon.
You're supposed to rinse and repeat. Okay. And then we skipped over what Amy's drinking. Are you drinking a whiskey?
Actually, I don't have anything at the moment. I had a Manhattan earlier and it almost put me to sleep. So I figured I should stop. So I can stay awake for this.
Can I ask you on air about your job interview? How did it go?
Oh, it went really well. Yeah, I don't want to give too many details out, but, it was positive.
Good. Amy had a job interview that she would be very excited to get today.
Yes.
And I got to wish her luck. So that's good to hear.
Awesome. Yeah. Good vibes your way.
Thank you.
Very good. So what else? Oh, and I am drinking Pinot Grigio. That's important for people to know. It's got an R on the front. Yeah, it's a white wine kind of night for me.
What is the
You're not drinking out of your congressional glass.
No, it's all about me. I'm being very, very self-involved tonight.
Is it R for Rand?
Or Remini, or Remini, could be Remini. Let's
R
not
for
be
Rand.
specific.
That's it.
Or Revolution, or Red Volution.
Revolution, I like that.
Her glass.
So what do we got going on in the chat room? Is anybody watching us? Is anybody out there? I'm looking at the chat room. We have Ken Johns Un. We have Joshua Ryan, who is our stagehand tonight. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, it looks good. We have like 3 viewers, so not many people to disappoint tonight.
Okay. Or 3 people are going to be amazed at how awesome the show is. There we go.
That's the spirit. That's it. Okay. So, what are we going to start off with? Sarah said she wanted a rainbow-free night. Do you think we can do that? Sarah did
not say that. That is not what I said. I said I would like to personally stay away from the recent Supreme Court ruling having to do with same-sex marriage. That was my specific and written opinion on that matter.
But you don't mind if we talk about it?
I don't, no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just not going to render a personal opinion on it at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe, probably not. Probably I won't.
You must be running for city council or something. You must be running for something. But that's fine. That's fine. You know, everybody's talking about it. I can understand if there's a little weariness about it. So maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Charles Kennedy is here. Oh, thank you for coming, Charles. It's, you know, it's not the same without Charles.
I'm almost feeling like you guys should start on this issue because I feel like, Rachel, you seem like you have something to say on this.
Rachel, I do have a question for you.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
How did you feel about Rand's response to the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage?
I'm getting a little bit weary of the get government out of marriage line because the more I think about it, it's just not practical. It's sort of just a non-starter. It's not going to happen. I understand the whole idea behind private marriage. I was once a very strong proponent of that. You know, just skip the courthouse, go to your lawyer's office, get your will and your prenup and your health care power of attorney, all of those documents that you need. Just go to your attorney, and one size does not fit all, and just have your attorney draw up something. But I don't know. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea, but our culture just doesn't. It would take a whole lot of rethinking of our culture, and I don't know. I just don't see it as very practicable. I think it's much more reasonable for the government to just say, you know what, you have a right to contract in this way with the person of your choosing. And besides, I posted that video a couple days ago about, you know, if they don't allow same-sex marriage, then all of the gay men are gonna marry all of your girlfriends. I love that video. It's so hilarious. Anyway.
Did you see, though, I think a good question to ask, though, is there's some counties and possibly states that are trying to either pass bills or counties that aren't offering marriage services at all right now to gay or straight couples because of their, disagreement with the ruling. So do you think that could become a trend? I mean, because that is actually pushing the government essentially out of marriage. But could that become a trend, or is this just a little pocket of
they're just having a little temper tantrum. That'll blow over. But the thing is, if you're trying to make this into a religious thing and, oh, my religion says that gay marriage is wrong, well, you know, what about second marriages? You know, this right here is a second marriage, you know, and that's against the Bible, technically. I mean, are they asking you if you've been married before and then refusing to issue a remarriage certificate? You know, are they involved in divorces? That's, I mean, in the Bible, that's very frowned upon. I mean, it's allowed, but I mean, especially remarriage is not allowed.
Or women that have had children out of wedlock and then, you know, tried to get married later.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like stoned at the gates of the city or something. I don't know.
I do have to say that
their periods. I just learned that the other day. Women with their periods are like supposed to be like stoned if they have sex with a man or something.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to we are not.
Well, that sounds unclean.
You don't sit there, by the way. Last month,
And there were no Marriotts or spas back then either. These women were trucking it into the woods with like no TP or anything. I mean, that was hardcore.
Oh, there's a book called The Red Tent all about it. There's like a tent especially for that time of the month, and all the women. No, is that a lie?
No, I just have a hard enough time as it is, like in modern society, dealing with my period, to have to even think about what it would be like to go into the woods and live in a tent with no sort of sanitary support or anything else, and have to
bears, they smell blood, you know.
Yes,
bears.
and live off leaves and twigs and women that I hate for a week. You know, it just sounds miserable.
But I want to jump in and address,
honestly.
Rachel, your well, it's impractical argument, and that's never going to happen. That you could say that to so much of what the government does, that it's just impractical to get the government out of the Middle East and bombing every country in the world, and
or the Fed.
It's just completely impractical to aim for that. It's much more reasonable to aim for, you know, lesser bombing of brown people on the other side of the world.
No. But what about the idea that you know, the government isn't, you know, part of the function of government is to enforce contracts? Like, who enforces that contract?
Well, yeah, that's right. And I mean, the government does necessarily get involved in families when there's children involved and breakups and custody issues and people dying with estates when there's no will.
But that's not necessarily because of a marriage license all the time. I mean, police deal with domestic disputes all the time where they have a mother, 4 children, who knows who any of the fathers are, they're not there, and you've got like a boyfriend situation with an ex-girlfriend who comes over. I mean, they deal with this kind of stuff all the time. It's not just because of, you know, marriage contracts that domestic disputes happen. They have to make a decision based on what the situation is. So it's not like, oh, well, they have a marriage contract, I see it here, so this is the way that we react. No, they have to react based on the situation.
It's two separate issues to say that the government is involved in enforcing contracts, and the government is in the business of licensing marriage. That is clearly, anyone sane who does not have some sort of political axe to grind will immediately recognize that the government has no legitimate interest in licensing marriages. The original purpose of marriage licenses in this country, the only reason you ever want to license something is so that you can deny it to some people. And that was the original purpose in this country, to prevent blacks and whites from intermarrying. I have to say that I find it kind of bizarre that the same people in my news feed who are demanding that the Confederate flag be hauled down because of its history of racism are celebrating marriage licenses. Because they clearly have no knowledge of history whatsoever.
Just so you know, though, the headline would say, though, from what he just said, it would be like, Mike Owens, marriage is racist. You know?
I hope you're not running for office anytime soon.
But no, I mean, that's a legitimate point. I mean, you have to understand the historical value of anything before you judge it, I think. And
So Michael, I'm going to ask you this. Do you want a divorce?
No.
Would you like more wives? No, I'm just
And yet.
My quota is full.
He wishes to stay married. Racist.
So what about the people that say that this is...
Are you saying, Mr. Owen, you don't want to marry a black woman? I'm already doing it. That wasn't the question, Mr. Owen.
Wait, who was I talking over? Sarah?
Yeah, no, I just said, I'm saying it was kind of like, you know, snarky, we were joking around about it, but what do you say to the people that believe that this could be an open door to polygamy? This ruling.
I'm totally fine with polygamy. I'm totally fine with anything consenting adults wish to do.
Yeah,
they need to be of age. They need to be able to enter into a contract. And that's fine. I think you should define your family however you want to, and then the government should respect that, you know, when it comes to courts and custody and all of that. They should respect whatever format your official family takes. That's what I think.
I can't disagree with that. That was a good answer.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, you know, as long as you're consenting adults, I don't see what the problem is. Let everybody...
So it's a little far-fetched for the people who are saying that this is also an open door to marry your dog or dog service.
Well, dogs can consent. So
yeah, dogs are not able to enter into contract.
So consenting adults is really the key here.
Yeah, consenting adults. It's not that
adult
hard.
Humans.
Yeah, consenting adults. It's not hard. It's not a slippery slope. It just stops right there. I mean, the only problem is when does a person become an adult? That's the only area that I see is up for interpretation. Are you an adult at 16? Are you an adult at 18?
Well, don't we leave that up to the states to decide?
That is up to the states.
We used to. That was when we had federalism. But we don't have that anymore, right?
Not really. No.
I mean, that's
what do you all think of the age of consent?
That's the whole thing about the decision. I see all of these rainbow-eyed icons or avatars in my news feed, and that's wonderful. People are happy that love has triumphed. The only problem is that love has triumphed through terrible logic. The majority decision was actually awful, and it was yet another erosion of federalism. And I'm not a federalist.
I disagree.
I'm not a federalist, but they make the argument that this is how the system is supposed to work, that this is how we are supposedly protected from the tyranny of centralization, but it's been a joke for decades. It's just a complete, utter, total joke.
Well, we have a mixed marriage. Mike is an anarchist, and I am a minarchist.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there is a role for the government. It should be far more limited than it is currently, but there is a role. And I do believe that the 10th Amendment, there are limitations. Not everything is left up to the states. Things that are not addressed elsewhere are left up to the states. But that doesn't mean that everything is a states' rights issue. Not everything is. So I don't have a problem with the ruling in the Federalist sort of sense. I
feel like we got off track there a little bit.
Maybe.
Probably.
Somebody was talking about gay adoption here in the chat room, and that makes me want to make an exciting announcement. It might be premature, but...
Are we having a baby?
No! Well, sort of. My podcast, Liberty After Dark, and this is news to you too, but I have just scheduled 2 interviews for Saturday for Liberty After Dark to come back out of hiatus. And one of my interviewees is actually my gay friend, Bentley, who has a family. He has a husband, and they have a child that they've adopted, and then a child by surrogacy. And so I want to talk to him in light of all of this kerfuffle about his family and how he's put it together and all of the issues that he's faced. And, because here we are, a bunch of straight people talking about gay marriage.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So on my podcast, I'm going to talk to a gay person about gay marriage who is gay married.
That's really interesting. I wonder, what kind of challenges you went through with the adoption and everything like that. I mean, I always think that, if a gay couple wants to have kids, it's like they have to work extra hard at it. It's not like it can just accidentally happen. So I always, admire that.
I think that's true. I think there's a lot of adoption agencies that won't even consider adopting to gay couples. I think... Yeah, I'm eager to ask him because, I've known him for forever, but I've never really had a chance to sit down and ask him about, was it hard to find an adoption agency? And then I think I remember correctly, his second child, a little boy about Wiley's age, or is he Parker's age? No, Wyatt is about Wiley's age. They did the surrogacy process with a lesbian couple. So they helped each other out.
Okay.
Anyway,
so then it go back around? So you get the first kid and then we'll do this again, but we get the second one kind of a thing?
You know, I bet it works differently for different folks, different strokes for different folks, so to speak.
I'm just wondering, maybe the lesbian wants to, a kid too, and they're like thinking like, okay, well they'll do this for us, but we have to like be waiting for them to like make the call and ask the favor because they're gonna want in return.
Yeah, obviously, I think the lesbian couple has to do a lot more work in this arrangement, but
this is true. And maybe like one of them do the first round of work, and then like the other one's like, oh, all right, I'll get pregnant next. Like that has to be a pretty big argument. I mean, like straight couples are like, you didn't take the trash out, and like you forgot to pay the cable bill. And like lesbian couples are like arguing about like who's gonna carry the baby for 9 months. I mean, that's like a big deal. So I give them
carried it last time.
Honestly, I mean,
probably drew straws.
Starting families is got to be a really, there's a lot of difficult decisions that take place there. So I'm just giving respect where it's due. It's got to be a conversation to have and a tough decision to make.
Yeah, there's obviously ways to have families when you're gay.
Not just when you're gay, though. I mean, think about straight single women. I mean, they're on their own.
Straight single women have families. And also infertile couples figure out ways to have families.
I wonder how difficult it is for a single dad, like a single guy, to like adopt a baby if he wanted to. Like, I mean, I feel like a single woman might have an easier time of it than a single man.
Yeah, that's a good question. But there is a foster system that is just brimming full with babies that need foster care and then adoption.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's always that. People think about international adoption and how difficult and expensive it is, and that's true. But if you look in your own backyard, there's a lot of kids in the foster system that actually need stable homes. So, and there's like ad campaigns out there. You don't have to be married. You don't have to be a certain age. There's all kinds of like it's a lot more open than a lot of people think. So and then my other guest is actually and this will maybe segue into the Greek issue if we have gnawed to the bone the gay rights and gay marriage issue. But my other guest that I'm interviewing on Saturday for release next week sometime before I go to Vegas, is an Argentinian fellow who lived through the Argentinian currency collapse in 2001, and he actually delivered Wiley. He's my OBGYN. He's such a cool guy. But he told me that he was watching the news and all the footage of the ATMs running dry in Greece and the people standing in line wondering where their pension is. And he just got a chill up his spine because it was just like what he went through in Argentina. So he's going to talk about currency collapse. And maybe we'll even talk about home birth because we both have thoughts about home birth. So...
Cool, the next should be really interesting.
Yeah, next podcast is going to be really, really great. So yeah, about Greece. Sarah wanted to talk about Greece. Are we ready to talk about Greece?
I don't. Give me your best shot. What do you got?
All right, we'll start with Amy then. Amy
did all of our homework for
yes. Amy did all the homework.
I read a little bit about
drinking early while Amy was doing show prep. That's what happened.
I did a little bit of reading on it, and I mean, I can't say that I entirely understand the issue too much, but I did. One question that kind of came to my mind was, do we think that this is something that could happen in the United States anytime soon?
Yes.
What makes you say that?
Well, I think the one thing that's keeping it not happening here is the fact that we print the world reserve currency, and we export all of our inflation. All of our problems get exported, and so far, this is happening less and less, which is scary. But so far, the rest of the world sort of gobbles up our debt and our currency.
Puerto Rico like isn't getting as much attention about the subject as Greece? Because I mean, aren't they? It seems like they're going through a similar thing, but they're also one of our territories.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is in our backyard. I actually listened to an excellent Peter Schiff podcast. I think he released it yesterday. Peter Schiff's podcast goes through why Puerto Rico actually matters much more to us. And that's because Puerto Rico is in our own backyard, and it's because a lot of our financial system is dependent on Puerto Rican debt. Why is that? Puerto Rican debt has a lot of tax advantages, and they have really, really high yields. And so a lot of the municipal bond funds that a lot of people invest in as part of their investment strategy, just, mom and pop saving for retirement, they are peppered with these Puerto Rican debt bonds just to increase yield. Now, that also increases your risk, obviously, as we're seeing. And so what's going to happen is when Puerto Rico defaults, as Greece has done, a lot of your retirement funds that are exposed to Puerto Rico, and you don't even maybe know about it. It's just, your investments are going to crash. I mean, not like crash, but you're going to take a huge haircut on any exposure you have to Puerto Rico. And that's going to affect the United States far more than Greece is going to affect us. Greece is affecting the Eurozone, so we got to keep an eye on what's happening in Europe for an idea of how when Puerto Rico goes Greece, how that's going to affect us, and it's not going to be good. So,
did you guys see that RT article today where the front picture was, and the headline was something along the lines of, like, Greek bank official is explaining to the citizens what's happening, and it's like this old man is like late 70s, early, like sitting on a bench like crying. He's telling him like his pension isn't there. Yeah. Like, did you see all the people in Greece today? They gathered, like, I think it was, I mean, I don't know how many thousands of people. But they wanted answers, like, where's our money? And, the ATM machines put a block on them, so they were only getting, I think it was 60 euros, something like that. And Americans who were traveling in Greece could still get more than that, but they had to be first, like, authorized by their American bank. Like, how crazy is that? Like, that's just...
Yeah. The way I heard it is the banks in Greece are just shut down. The ATMs are they've run dry. There's just no cash to be had. And it's because they didn't want to deal with austerity. They didn't want to deal with a pension cut, so now they have no pension. Yeah, I think it's not very well explained to people, or if it is, people are just in disbelief. When this sort of thing is staring you in the face, like, look, you're not going to get your pension, or you could have less pension. And they're like, what? I'm not going to accept less pension. Figure it out. Well, this is sort of the sticky wicket that we get ourselves into when governments get so big and so, what's the word? So full of themselves. They think that they can promise the world to everybody. They overpromise, and they write checks with their mouth that their asses can't cash, and so this is what happens.
But this thing in Greece with these, older people that are trying to collect their pensions and can't make sense of this, is this what the picture looks like for our generation when we go to collect Social Security? I mean, it just, that's what I thought of when I saw that picture. Yes. I just thought, it's all of these people in our generation who are like, I don't care about politics, I hate that you care about politics, blah, blah, that'll be at the front of the lines fighting for Social Security when it's no longer, when we sort of like warned you like 30 years ago, like, this is coming and we should fight for it. I mean, is that what we're looking at? I'm not trying to be gloom and doom. I'm just saying the reality of it is when I saw that picture, I saw that here years down the road.
Yeah, but do you really think that a lot of our generation, do you think that people realistically think that Social Security is going to be enough to retire on? Do people that are our age really think that?
No, I don't think they're banking on it. I think people end up depending on it because they just sort of didn't figure out anything else for their lives.
Well, then that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that when you depend on the government, that's you end up in a line in front of the ATM crying with your head in your hands, grown-ass men.
but unfortunately, that's a large
That's what happens.
populace of, United States citizens at this point. So,
I know, and I'm not saying they deserve it. I'm just saying, wake up, people. You don't want that to be you.
right.
That's why I believe in gold. Gold. Because it's not like you're gonna.
I'm saving silver.
Silver is awesome, especially in a situation like they're in Greece right now, because you can't take an ounce of gold and go buy a loaf of bread. You would not want to do that. You need something more divisible for your day-to-day needs, and that's why I think silver is so great in situations like this. And I really hope to ask my friend, his name is Julian, what he thinks about precious metals. I asked him before, and he didn't seem to really think that was a solution. But that doesn't mean if people had it, it could be a solution, as well as maybe Bitcoin, something like Bitcoin. If banks are not working, maybe Bitcoin can circulate still. So those are some thoughts. What are people saying in the chat room? Yeah. Ken says it'll be the same problem for everyone else if federal officials decide to plunder or tax other retirement accounts. I actually think that's a very serious issue. I think that any talk of privatizing retirement accounts or Social Security and any talk of the government getting further involved in our retirement is leading up to, well, you're not saving enough, so let us just do it for you, because there is actually enough sitting in retirement accounts right now to just solve all of the government's problems. There is. It's there. They just have to figure out a way to get their grubby little hands on it. And if they could, they would. So whenever I hear stuff about privatizing, and that's where my mind goes, is this is part of the process of them getting their hands and just, seizing all retirement accounts and, giving you essentially a warehouse receipt or whatever. It would be bad.
The way it will happen is when the next financial crisis comes and equities crash 40, 50, 60% again, like they did the last 2 times. And it maybe won't be this next cycle, but it will be one of these cycles. The government will step in and say, well, look how risky these markets are. Everybody has lost their retirement savings. They've gone way down. This is way too risky. What we really need is to mandate that you invest in a much safer vehicle, like government bonds.
Like the MyRA.
Yes, the MyRA. And
I don't know what this MyRA is.
They will essentially mandate that you invest
in the government.
In government debt.
Yeah.
And they'll promise that they'll give you some ridiculous coupon return on it, but of course it will be.
So is that almost like what a bail-in actually is, or am I getting that wrong? The bail-in's actually the banks take money from the individuals, not the actual government.
It's a similar kind of idea, yeah.
Is it more
the bail-in is the idea of a bail-in is
we're looking to face probably or possible a bail-in situation after this Greece thing, and we're in the 7-year cycle that's coming up this fall, and a lot of people are very weary about that. Cyclically it's been pretty on point.
The thing about the Greece situation and why it's so bad and why it matters. I mean, why should we care about Greece, right? Who cares? Well, what happened in Greece is not specific to Greece. It happens to be particularly bad there, but they, of course, had a relatively expansive socialist welfare state, And, they had a lot of people retiring at 55 with lucrative pensions, and they bought a lot of votes with a lot of programs, cost a lot of money, spent a lot of money. And, of course, where did they get that money from? Well, they certainly didn't get it from raising taxes. That's very unpopular. So instead, they sold a bunch of paper. And they went into debt to do this. And the issue is that everybody in Europe did the same exact thing. So debt levels, and it's not just Europe either, debt levels are extremely high. And the issue is somebody holds all of that debt. Somebody is holding all of the Greek debt. It's spread around on balance sheets. So if Greece defaults on its debts, suddenly all of the paper that is being held by banks all over Europe is now near worthless. And suddenly, what does that do to their balance sheets? Well, suddenly these assets that are backing their liabilities are worthless, and it throws their balance sheet into the toilet. And it's very interconnected, and it spirals out of control. And that's why for literally years now, the European Central Bank and European actors like Germany have basically bailed out Greece with bailout after bailout after bailout, handout after handout. They will take any piece of paper that can be found in Greece. The ECB will monetize it to stave off a collapse. And they've gotten to the point now where the Germans, who are mainly the ones that are footing the bill for all of this, and not just in Greece, the German taxpayers are fed up with it, right? So they're reaching their breaking point. So that's why Greece has gotten to the point where they're so desperate to not default, which will spread this contagion like wildfire all over Europe, but B, they have to come up with funds that are not more funds from the ECB or the German taxpayers, that they're desperate enough to start closing banks and putting their grubby hands on retirement accounts. And the issue that's happening over there will happen here, because Rachel said, well, there's enough money in people's retirement accounts to solve all the government problems. That's never the case. It's like hard drives. It doesn't matter how big your hard drive is. In short order, it's 95% full. It doesn't matter how much money the government gets its hands on.
No one can solve the problem of derivatives.
Spend much more than that.
Can solve a lot of problems if you had, what is it? It's like 50 trillion in retirement. I mean, it's an outrageous number. It's a lot of money, actually.
But
for all of the talk that goes around about Americans are not saving enough, they're not saving enough for retirement. Maybe that's true. But whenever somebody says that, it's like, there's a lot of money in retirements, though.
Yeah, the problem is it's not actually money. It's mostly invested.
It's invested in Greece and Puerto Rico.
and our stock market, which is bubbled by the Federal Reserve. So
it's funny money.
All you got to do is look at the Dow Jones or the S&P 500 over the last 15 years, and unless you're an idiot, you can pretty much tell that the stock market is way overvalued. It's directly tied to funny money. So the problem that American baby boomer retirees are going to be facing in increasing numbers is that they're all coming to the retirement point basically starting at the same time. So the issue is there's all of this money in their retirement accounts, right? Well, it's actually just value of the assets that are held in their retirement accounts. And when they actually want to go buy bread or go on a vacation or consume something, they can't consume an asset from their retirement account. They have to sell it, convert it into money, and then spend the money. And the problem is you're going to have people beginning to retire in droves, which means that they're all going to be trying to liquidating their retirement assets in droves at the same time. And what do you think that's going to do to the value of those assets? This is not rocket science. This is a well-known demographic problem that faces sort of mature Western economies like ours. And Japan's is much worse. However bad ours is, Japan's is like 10 times worse.
I don't know how Japan is even like functioning at all.
Well, they do have $1 trillion war chest of U.S. Treasuries. The problem is that liquidating those and getting money to spend on their own infrastructure problems, like dealing with the earthquake and trying to deal with their own demographic issues, their falling birth rate, aging population, all of these issues, they can't just sell all their U.S. Treasuries because they'll start a panic on U.S. Treasuries, and of course we won't allow that. So they're between a rock and a hard place trying to use their so-called sovereign wealth fund without destroying its value or getting in hot water with the powers that be. So, but it won't last forever.
Charles brings up a very good point in the chat room. And by the way, between us participants, I posted a link to the chat room so you can follow. And Amy, you've been invited to get another drink. Somebody thinks you need another drink.
I'm good.
But
if
anyway,
I was distracted for a second, it's because my cats were trying to have an altercation in front of me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that happens. But Charles brings up a very good point with the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates at almost 0%. It is not logical, really, to save for retirement when you get zero return on your money. It used to be. I remember when I was in college, I won't say when, but it used to be the smart thinking to eventually save yourself $1 million or something. You know, get yourself up to a nice war chest of cash and just park it. And when you retire, you live off of the interest. You know, and with interest rates where they were back then, you could have $1 million just sitting there and feeding you interest, and it would be like, $50,000 a year. You could easily live on that if you just save up the money, and you don't even have to like eat into the principal. It just, that's your retirement, and it's a living, it's an income. It's not extravagant, but it's you're not eating cat food on $50,000 a year. But I mean, now with interest rates where they are, $1 million gets you about $2,500 a year. $2,500 a year is the interest on $1 million right now.
That's
which
terrifying.
is pathetic. Yeah, I mean, why would you save all that money, defer all that consumption, which is what savings is? You have to not buy your Starbucks every day, you have to defer joy now. You have to have pain now in order to, save up that kind of money. And why would you do that when your reward at the end of the day is virtually nothing?
Have you seen my new iPhone?
Yeah. He did not defer. He consumed.
I did.
Very happy about that. It's
I'm
better than
deferring happiness. Do you see how cracked that is?
Oh, what is that?
That's my iPhone.
That
is a 5.
That's a 5.
But I'm not due for a 6, and I will live with this cracked, terrible. It's the knockwood. It is the only phone I've ever broken the screen on. But
that's not really living.
You know
No,
you can
I'm
replace the
going
screen
to
for like
defer
65
my
bucks.
joy until I get a free iPhone 6 when I get an upgrade. So I'm happy.
Oh, Mike is saying that you can replace the screen for $65. Did you know that?
Oh, the cheapest price I got was $100. We need to talk. I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
That might be a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, so Charles makes a very good point that saving does not make any economic sense, and people respond to economic incentives. They just do. And if Americans are not saving enough for retirement, that is why. It's because it doesn't make sense to. You have a Keynesian phone. You created jobs. The broken phone fallacy.
Broken screen fallacy.
But yeah, so and another benefit, it's a benefit to Wall Street for near zero interest rates, is that since you are getting no return on your money just having it parked, you are literally forced to invest in Wall Street and stocks and riskier things in order to make any kind of return at all. Otherwise, your money is just sort of languishing there. But for the people that are paying attention, the stock market, bubbling up and then crashing down and bubbling up again and crashing down, a lot of people are just so risk averse that they don't even care. They just want their money to be there. They want it to, stop losing 30% overnight. and then waking up, with heartburn. I mean, people just they don't like these roller coasters of the stock market, but with the zero interest rates, they just try to shove you into basically gambling, just so that you can get some kind of a return, and a lot of people are just not interested in that, and some people are just, well, I don't want to defer all of my consumption just so I can gamble with it all, in Wall Street, which is basically Vegas, same thing. So you just go ahead and, just spend it. Or go into debt, or just have a lifestyle now and just don't think about tomorrow, because tomorrow is so uncertain. So tomorrow is Greece, so watch carefully what's happening in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we're a few months away, maybe. I mean, we're in the 7-year cycle, and I think that it does.
The NSA has cut off Sarah.
Yeah. They found her.
Yep.
I think I'm going to point to Greece as an example next time my brother-in-law gets on me about not having a financial planner or whatever, because he's always thinking that my husband and I need one, and it's terrifying to me to hand any kind of control over my money to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, especially that whole world is such a mystery. It's like, are they selling insurance or are they selling investments?
I have no idea. It's really freaky to me.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Sarah texted me. She got kicked out. Are you back, Sarah? She's frozen.
Oh, frozen.
Let it go. Let it go. Oh, well, maybe she'll be back. Anyway.
The real issue with interest rates at zero is long-term. Obviously, it can't be sustained because you're actually you're destroying the real economy, because you're right. Nobody's going to save when the interest that you get on your savings is zero. Nobody's going to defer consumption. And the problem is that the capital stock degrades and it has to be maintained, and the way that the capital stock is maintained is via investment from resources that are not currently consumed. So what we have is this situation where we have this Potemkin economy, a completely bubbled manufactured economy that's maintained by free, cheap money, where nobody defers any actual savings. Everyone consumes now, and we're destroying the capital stock. We're eating away at it. In economics terms, we're well outside the production possibilities frontier, and at some point, reality will catch up with us, and that is not going to be a very pleasant experience. And that's Greece is just now getting a taste of it. Well, they've been tasting it for years, but it's getting worse now, and it will continue to get worse. And it would not surprise me at all if Greece goes through an Argentinian type devolution, whatever you want to call it. And it remains to be seen whether or not they'll be able to go through this without explicitly defaulting, and if they do default, how much the contagion will be able to be contained by the ECB and the other actors in Europe. It will be interesting.
I am asking Sarah, can you come back to talk about Rand? There we go. Send. We have 10 minutes. I wanted to talk about Rand Paul and presidential politics just a little bit. Since the show is called Politics, we should talk about politicians, and the only one worth talking about still is Rand. So I'm gonna get a refill, and show is all yours for 5 seconds.
So, Mike, what do you think about Rand?
Our parenting win. Your parenting win.
Oh, yes. My parenting win. We're going to talk parenting with Mike.
Oh, so, okay. You're going to talk about parenting. Okay.
we have two little boys.
We'll defer the Rand conversation.
Yes, we'll defer that till Rachel comes back. We have two little boys. One's 4.5, and one's going to be 3 here in a few weeks. And so we also have lots of pets. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So we accumulate dust bunnies, and we accumulate food and goldfish crumbs and just crud all over the floors of our house at an astonishing rate. So today I got out the shop vac, and I gave it to my 4-year-old with the task of going and vacuuming the floors and all of the crud and the dust bunnies, and he thought it was a fabulous game. It was just the most
awesome.
Fabulous game. And then I explained to Mommy in front of him while he was listening that he only gets to run the vacuum if he's been very, very, very good. He said, I have been good. I will be good. I said,
that's amazing.
And I stopped him. I said, well, you have to stop now because this is all the good you've been today. So if you want to run the vacuum for longer, you have to be more good.
Oh, wow.
And then I paid them 5 gold doubloons.
Pennies?
Yes.
5
pennies. 5 cents. I'm sure I have violated some sort of child labor law. Some sort of minimum wage law has been violated. I exploited my children.
Well, see, here's the thing. If Charles Kennedy is still here, he knows my Facebook post about how much Parker loves the vacuum cleaner because it's a machine. It makes loud noises and it does things. And they're into cars and trucks and mighty machines and construction sites. So I mean, it's all in the same vein. It is like a dump truck that they can use. It makes the vacuum cleaner is like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yes, we need to exploit that.
Oh, definitely.
So,
you should send them over to your friends' houses too. I mean, I hate vacuuming.
He likes to wash dishes too.
He loves to wash dishes.
He's not good at it.
The problem with washing dishes is that it gets water everywhere, all over the kitchen. It creates more of a mess than it really. But in 6 months, he will have the coordination to actually get somewhere. And in 6 months, he will probably have the intelligence to be wise to our games. So.
Oh, no.
Oh. Yeah, Charles Kennedy was into vacuum cleaners the same way. And now he is like a stellar, world-class organist. He plays pipe organ at a fantastic church. Yeah, Charles Kennedy is very cool.
I was teaching Parker to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the piano this morning.
Yeah.
Not this morning, this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. We're working on music.
Yes.
In between, sweatshop duties.
Exactly. Child labor. Rand Paul.
Oh, speaking of child labor.
See, because he's Ron Paul's child.
Sarah's not back.
Oh gosh. So, Rachel, why are you starting to be on the fence about Rand? I always thought you were one of his biggest fans.
Oh no, I wouldn't call it on the fence. It's not like I like anybody else in the race. It's just I gave money to Rand, and now I'm on I guess multiple of his email lists, and I get the emails multiple times a day. And I guess maybe it was worse because it was the end of a quarter. An FEC deadline was just upon us. Do you get the emails too?
No, I haven't signed up. I'm not 100% on board with Rand at this moment, so.
Oh, really?
I haven't signed on.
Is there anyone else?
Not really.
There
really isn't. Nobody's really struck my fancy just yet, honestly. I mean, the thing with Rand is that, I like a lot of what he says, but then, I don't know, then I kind of hear him talk about women's issues and stuff like that, and I kind of shy away a little bit. And I mean, a lot of times I feel like he's, pandering to people like me, I guess, especially with his whole thing about the IRS. And I just, it's like...
pandering?
Yeah, I know, and I don't like the feeling, it's like, I know you're saying this just so I'll be into you or whatever, but I don't believe you're actually going to do anything about it. Like his whole IRS thing, I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it can happen. I don't believe that he can, eliminate the IRS. In the way that he says that he can. And I mean, as much as I like the idea, I don't believe it, and I don't like him trying to, make me believe the fantasy, I guess.
See, that's the same argument. It's that same argument. It's impractical to get rid of the IRS that the country lived without throughout the majority of its existence, that we only got thanks to Milton Friedman.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying that it would be impractical to get rid of the IRS. I think it's a great idea. I just don't particularly believe that Rand Paul is going to do it. I mean, I just think that
it's not very motivating because it just doesn't seem like in the grasp of possibility.
Let me say this: if conditions in the country were such that Rand Paul got elected president and he wasn't shot, then you might see something done about the existence of the IRS.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so.
Right? If he can get elected, then the political climate is clearly trending in a direction where it becomes more possible to do something about the IRS.
Well, sure.
It would be more realistic for him to say, look, let's just replace the IRS with software because we can. I mean, we don't need this big, organization to handle our taxes. If we just had some software, everybody would just get a bill or whatever. You don't need all these.
Because the government has such an excellent track record with software.
Oh God, yeah. But they have a terrible record. I mean, I was actually audited recently. And,
were you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It was horrifying. It was really funny because, they do everything with all paper. They don't, I guess they have software, they have laptops, but I don't know if they have any actual software on them. I mean, they just wanted to see all the paperwork, and they were just entering things one at a time on, those old-timey calculators. I mean, it was like stepping back in time. I was like, are you nuts? was insane. But
So,
also, they don't
like,
allow you to email them. You have to do everything by fax or in person.
That's gross.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
So did you have to go to an office or what?
Yeah, I had to go to the office. And I had to go to the office. And I mean, it's basically what you might expect, like what you envision an audit to be. I mean, they want you to bring every single piece of paper you've ever had ever, and like they go through it piecemeal. They act like you're hiding it from them if you're missing a piece of paper. I had to. It actually costed a lot of money. I had to get a lot of paperwork from my bank. I had to get old bills. It was really crazy.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was really terrifying. I mean, it's over now, thankfully. Like they told me whatever mistake I made and I owed them, and after it took me months to pay them actually because they wouldn't tell me where to send the money, and I kept on getting these different responses. It was really scary. I mean, because I was like, oh gosh, because interest when you're owe the government is like 20% or something, and it just piles on and piles on and piles on, and it's like all of a sudden $1,000 is like $5,000. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really crazy, but that's all in the past. But yeah, I mean, if Rand Paul if I believed Rand Paul could make that go away, I would love it. But I don't know. I don't see it. Like I just don't see it happening. So I don't really give him a lot of credence, I guess.
Oof. Oh, I'm traumatized just hearing that.
I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not standing behind any candidate right now. I really don't have any preference whatsoever. I haven't been impressed by anybody.
Did you have a red flag, or was it just random? Why? Why did it happen?
The audit? They said it was random. I don't really know the real reasons, but they said it was a random check. So.
Jeez. That's so awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but it's over now.
I'm so sorry. Really, the reason that I'm a little bit down on Rand is just because the tone of the emails that I've been getting have been so, panicked. It's that whole fundraising strategy that I disagree with so much. It's like, help, help, we're dying, we're sinking, the ship is going down, send money. It's like, why would I send my hard-earned money to a sinking ship? I don't like that panicked tone for fundraising.
I don't like that either.
I'm much more motivated by, we're doing so well, push us over the top, and I didn't really sense that. So yeah. I didn't actually open a lot of emails, but I read the subject line and I was like, oh gosh.
And it's only just begun.
Yeah.
It's only just started, Rachel. It's gonna be like crazy.
I know. During self-employment,
that's what it was for me. It was during a period of self-employment.
Yeah, I'm self-employed sort of right now. I do freelance, so
I think they do kind of target self-employed people because it's so easy to make a mistake. It really is. They're probably gonna find something. So it's just an easy target.
I think if you take a lot of crazy deductions, then you might be getting yourself in trouble. I try to keep my deductions very much above the board and only what I can document.
Oh yeah, that's what I do too, but I still got dinged.
Oh gosh.
I certainly wasn't. I actually took. I didn't take as many deductions as I probably could have, but it ended up being a mistake that my accountant had made.
Awesome. And is your accountant accountable for your mistakes?
She did pay the fees.
We have an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sleep very well tonight.
I don't know if Sarah's going to come back.
I don't think so. And we're actually past 11 o'clock, so
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up here pretty soon. But I will say that I remain very pleased with what I see out of the Vermin Supreme campaign. The free ponies and, better
That
dental
guy's
hygiene.
awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty great. He's hilarious. He's great comic relief.
Yeah.
For quarterly estimated tax based on previous year's earnings. Well, I didn't make anything last year, hardly at all. I only just started making actual real money.
Yeah. I do quarterlies, and it's really annoying. Nobody wants to have to cut more checks to the government,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you better start doing that.
Yeah, except that last year we got a refund. A nice refund, so
You don't need to worry about it for the first year, Rachel. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But next year.
Oh, I don't like the IRS, but I try to stay on their good side. I try very, very hard to stay on their good side. Because, I mean, I understand that they're, all unconstitutional, whatever. Yes. But they have the guns and they have the prisons, so.
Pretty much. They're pretty scary. I mean, I was, as angry as I was during the whole audit situation, I was more scared than anything. I was really freaked out. I had all these dreams that they were gonna take my house and take my car and all this other stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It was very, I was more scared than anything. I mean, I was definitely mad.
Yeah.
But
What were the actual agents like? Were they human beings at all?
I mean, the guy that we had, his name was Harold, and he was basically just kind of this skinny bureaucrat-looking dude. I mean, it was like he was destined to be a bureaucrat. I mean, he kind of had that emotionless face and that business all business talk. But I mean, he wasn't he was fine. He was a nice guy. I mean, but I mean, he wouldn't be somebody that I'd hang out with or anything like that. He was very business-like during the whole thing.
He wasn't a nice guy.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure nice
guys
people
do not work for the IRS.
Yeah, they do not work for the IRS.
There's a selection effect.
Yeah, I mean, what would make you want to work for the IRS?
I can't.
What kind of person?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you would have to shut down your entire, moral compass, I guess, and be totally okay with ruining people's lives because they do that. And I mean, it's funny because I went through an audit, and I mean, my husband and I are lucky in the fact that we have these jobs where we can kind of leave and take care of this kind of business during the day where you have to do it. But what if I was a single mom and working an hourly job where I couldn't do that kind of thing, or if I did, I would lose out on all that money. I mean, because it costed money to do this,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's scary to think about what other people go through.
They destroy people's lives. People commit suicide.
They do, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, it's always such and such could have helped them. It's no, they weren't going to help. Nobody was going to help them at the IRS anyway.
Terrifying.
Mhm.
Well, we have to have them. How else would we pay for our wars?
Yes. How else would we
I know. How would we?
I mean, other than the printing money and the debt.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Boy, what a fun show this has been.
We just run the gamut. I hate that we're ending on, depressing IRS stories, but.
Yeah, well. Gosh, that was terrifying. That's gonna give me nightmares. It's like the horror story before. There should be horror movies based on IRS audits.
Oh God, yeah, that would totally freak people out. If you want to see they sent us these videos to watch, so you're getting an audit, and it was.
Oh God.
And it was so funny.
Wow.
It looked like the actors were like being held at gunpoint to do these videos. I mean, they looked so frightened. They're like, the first thing is, don't be scared.
Don't be scared. As scary music comes in. Oh
I couldn't even watch it. I watched one and I was like, oh my god. They're holding these actors captive.
I think I would rather design an airport for Kim Jong-un than get a audit by the IRS.
Did you hear about that? Kim Jong-un didn't like the airport that his designer built, and so he killed the designer. He had him executed.
Oh,
like, wow. I don't like it. Kill him. Wow.
Well, glad we don't live there.
Yeah, I mean, I bet that's motivating for the next guy. Anybody? Anybody? Anybody want to design this? Wow.
Well, I mean, nobody's going to volunteer. You know, he's going to order somebody to design an airport. It's not going to be like, who's going to volunteer?
Yeah.
That's how it works over there, right? They just kind of like, you're designing an airport.
Yeah.
Do it.
So no wonder the best and brightest are to be gone. Like, this is crap. Oh my gosh.
So that's one thing to be positive for. Like we do not live in an area where you're going to be ordered to design an airport and be put to death if they don't like it yet. Anyway.
Yeah. I wouldn't be very good at designing an airport. So good thing that I'm not in North Korea. Yay, I'm not in North Korea. What's the other story? Like in the pre-show chit chat, there was another story.
I sent you an article about Hillary's emails had gotten released. Did you check out that article?
Oh yeah, she's like, can I go to the cabinet meeting? Can I go? Can I go?
Yeah, no, it was so funny because it was just kind of like, a lot of them were like, he's not supposed to email me. He knows that if he wants to organize something, he has to talk to Huma. Like, I mean, it was just all like these, I don't know. I thought they were kind of funny just because it was like exactly what I thought they would be. Just kind of her acting like entitled and like, me. But, yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. Also, there was one where she was like, I don't know how to use the fax machine. It's like, really?
So hard.
But it was kind of, during when the whole Hillary email scandal thing was happening, I always thought it was weird that like all these politicians were just, were jumping in there and bragging about how they don't use email. It's like, I don't have basic technological skills. Like, why were they saying it like it was a good thing? It's not a good thing to not be tech savvy. It's actually, especially when they're legislating the internet.
Come across much more rationally. I stick with like, smoke signals.
Why is it a good thing to be stupid? I don't.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, what did you guys think of that? Like, all these politicians were like, "Oh, I never use email." I was like, "Okay, well, you're legislating the internet, so it kind of disturbs me that you don't know how to use email."
Yeah, I mean, it's like the easiest thing ever. I mean, I can see not having a Facebook, but
oh yeah, I mean,
come on.
But I mean,
everybody has email.
Yeah, no, to me, it's kind of like saying like, oh, I don't have a phone, like I don't use telephones or cell phones.
Is she really 75 years old? Wow. She actually looks good for 75. Is that true?
She's 75? Wow.
Gennaro was saying, I don't know, is that true?
I thought she was younger than that.
I thought she was younger than that, too.
It's all that bathing in the blood of children.
Yeah. 67. She is 67. Okay, 67 seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, maybe we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
It is 12 after 11, so it's time to go. But I will say one thing. Let me just preview. Next week, I am going to Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas
Woohoo!
for Freedom Fest. Woohoo! And there's going to be a Liberty.me booth there. Jeffrey Tucker will be there, and Will O' the Bastards, which I think sounds very Irish. Will O' the Beer and Bastard Show is going to be there, and we're going to do a live show from Freedom Fest. It sounds like maybe Friday night around 9 p.m. That's going to be firmed up. But anyway, that's going to be cool. Maybe we'll do it like right there in the at the exhibitor table, so we can watch Steve Forbes walk by, and Peter Schiff, and Dinesh D'Souza, and Glenn Beck, and all of the people that are going to be there. They'll be walking by, and we'll be in Vegas, and I'm so excited. Maybe I'll have actually blue hair by then. I tried to get my hair dyed blue, and now it's just like, maybe you can see it. It's like just bleached out and not blue at all. It's just like gray. But I have this Elvira thing going on up here, and then like something else going. I don't know. It's very confused, but it was supposed to be very cool and blue and like, you know, trendy and very Vegas, and it's just not. But maybe by then it'll be awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to be in Vegas next week, and we're going to do a show, and yay, and I'll see everybody then. So, all right. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Yes.
Remember, stay away from gay Confederate sharks.
Gay Confederate sharks.
I'll try.
My entire news feed. Gay Confederate sharks.
All right. Good night.
Good night.